Call to order the regular meeting on Monday, July 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. of the Board of Commissioners. If you'll please stand for the invocation.
Precious Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day. Thank you for the rains you have sent some of us. Watch over, guide us, give us a good meeting, and give us a safe trip home. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're mandated to have a public hearing. It's a public hearing on approval of the execution and delivery of the contract and project for the courthouse. And the county managers informed me no one has signed up for the public hearing. For anyone that's sitting in the room, I'll give one last opportunity if somebody wants to make a comment about the courthouse renovations. Going once, going twice. All right, we're gone. Next up are public comments, and we have nobody signed up for public comments, right? Okay. Same thing, if anybody wants a public comment, I'll waive it going once, twice, going three times. But this time we'll go to comments from the manager and the commissioners. Commissioner Morris, if you want to start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to welcome everybody to our meeting. We appreciate your participation and your feedback, and to those online as well as those in the room. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Wood.
I'll echo the same comments that Commissioner Morris had. I also want everybody to remember Mayor Witt, who had open heart surgery, and as of an hour ago she was still in it, so let's pray for her when we get a chance.
I just would like to thank everybody for being here today and those watching online, and I just want to say a shout out to Fire Chief Ryan Clark, who did save a lady on the river yesterday and saved her life, who was drowning. And I think we have some other people that maybe done similar things that we want to recognize pretty soon. So, thank you.
Thank you all for being here and attending our meeting today. And I did just want to say that Commissioner Mendenhall had cataract surgery this morning, and he thought he was going to be able to call in, but he's at home resting from that. So that's why he is not able to make it to today's meeting.
Thanks everybody for being here and taking part in local government. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July, the Independence Day, and I think in between the fireworks and grilling out, eating a lot and drinking a lot, I think that it's important, probably more now than ever, that we continue to remember what our country was founded on and how times seem to be changing very rapidly. And I think that we need to really, really be thankful that we live in the greatest country in the world when it comes to being a republic. And I think sometimes the younger generation takes it for granted. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and just don't remember or just don't forget, what that celebration is about.
They're still celebrating all around my house.
Lucky people. Yeah. All right, this time I'm going to read conflict of interest. Before moving further, does any board member have a conflict with any of the items on the agenda for tonight, or one that may be perceived as conflict of interest? All right. I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll go to the information agenda. And at this time, the Stokes County 4-H 2024 Youth Voice Delegate Noah Moorfield will make a presentation. How are you, Noah?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Fine.
Good evening, commissioners and everyone. My name is Noah Moorfield. I am 17. I live in Westfield. I am a rising senior in high school, and I am proud to be the 2024 Stokes County 4-H Youth Voice Delegate. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak to you today about the incredible impact that 4-H has had on the lives of youth, including myself. For those who may not be familiar, 4-H is a youth development organization that empowers young people to reach their full potential by providing hands-on learning experiences in agriculture, leadership, and life skills. First and foremost, 4-H teaches youth valuable life skills that will serve them throughout their lives. Through projects such as raising animals, gardening, and cooking, young people learn the importance of responsibility, hard work, and perseverance. These skills not only help them succeed in projects, but also translate into success in academics, careers, and relationships. Additionally, 4-H provides youth with countless opportunities for leadership development, whether through leading a club meeting, organizing a community service project, or participating in a public speaking competition. Young people in 4-H learn how to inspire others. These leadership skills are invaluable in today's fast-paced and ever-changing world. But perhaps the most important impact that 4-H has had on youth, including myself, is the sense of belonging and community that it fosters. In 4-H, people are surrounded by caring adults and peers who support and encourage them every step of the way. They form lasting friendships, build self-confidence, and develop a sense of pride in themselves and their accomplishments. This sense of belonging is crucial for youth as they navigate the challenges of adolescence and build a strong foundation for their future. In conclusion, the impact of 4-H on the lives of youth is truly profound by providing hands-on learning experiences, developing leadership skills, and fostering a sense of belonging. 4-H empowers young people to become confident, capable, and caring individuals who are prepared to make a positive difference in the world, and I am proud to be a part of this incredible organization. And I encourage all of you to support and celebrate the important work that 4-H does for youth in our communities. And I look forward to seeing all of you in August for Youth Voice.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Good job.
Thank you.
That was a very good presentation. Thank you. Congratulations. We might be kin to each other. My grandpa's from Westfield. He was Moorfield.
Research that. She's got money.
Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in August as well. You said cooking, leadership, and gardening. That's three pretty important things to know how to do.
Yeah.
And especially that leadership piece, I would say. So,
Yes.
congratulations and appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one. Take care.
Yeah.
This time, the Francisco Park presentation. Catherine, if you want to come up and bring your crew with you.
Y'all want to come up or? Come on up.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank y'all very much for entertaining us again to give you a little bit more feedback about the park and for understanding with the reschedule from a recent bout with Mr. COVID here. We wanted to catch you all up on what's transpired since we spoke with y'all a few weeks ago. Whoops. Amber.
Have it upside down. Yeah.
Okay. The technical issues are resolved. So we would like to give you a quick update from the couple of community decides meetings that we've held. Also, we have met with the North Carolina Forest Service, Wildlife, and the Dan River Basin Association to get feedback from them on how we might best use the property, so we'll catch y'all up on that. What we would like to consider for the calendar year 2024 and 2025, what seems reasonable to accomplish, to us anyway. And then we put together a draft memorandum of understanding, we'll hit the highlights on that. And finally, a proposal for some temporary signage that may or may not be temporary. Probably needs some direction with regards to whether or not the county has specifications for signage. So the updates from the June 8th and June 23rd Community Decides meeting. First meeting, we had about 30 attendees that were very engaged throughout the discussion. We had a smaller group in the next meeting that we had, but also again very engaged. At the first meeting, we spoke generally about a possible layout for the property long term. We didn't want to get into the weeds too much, but we wanted to have some sense of where infrastructure might be, so that as we begin to plan early phases, we didn't put something that would be covered up by a building later on. And then we also formed 4 different teams. We have a park planning team. We'll be meeting next week to put together pretty detailed plans for how we might go forward that we will then submit to you all. We have a fundraising team, an art and signage committee, and then a maintenance team. The maintenance team would take care of just keeping the grass mowed right now. Some of the fundraising opportunities that we threw around were maybe bluebird house sales, buy a bench. We definitely want to explore grants, and we have some nice grants, but we will need to partner with the county on many of those. So I'll transition a little bit and talk about our walks with the Forest Service and Wildlife and Dan River Basin Association. You might recognize this fella in the bottom picture here with the hat on. But we got the strong recommendation from all 3 organizations that the less we do with this particular property initially, for sure, the better. That there's a nice mix of field and forest, as we've already discussed, and also it's flat. It's probably the flattest piece of property in all of Stokes County. One thing that they were all very consistent about was removing the screening that you can see in this picture, the bottom picture that Stephen's in. There's Virginia pines that form a very thick screen. There's another picture of it in a little bit. Those trees are invasive. That thick screen causes a security problem, we believe, because you can't see if somebody's in the woods. It also lets people maybe throw trash or do other things that we would prefer they not do in the park. There's several invasive species in there that we would also like to get removed. So we wanted to consider some strategies that we would maximize the quality of both the field and the forest. That might at some point include a prescribed burn, more likely on the field, and looking at native grasses, revitalizing the native grasses that are there. The picture on the left shows you how thick that screen of Virginia pines is. So to us, that's one of the first things that needs to happen, is to get those trees removed. Most of them are very small. We've looked at various ways that we could handle that, whether we chainsaw them down and then work with you all to have them removed, or use a masticator to chop them up where they are, or get somebody to help us chip them, or burn them in the middle of the field. But anyway, they need to be removed. There are some pretty serious issues, I think, with regards to people being able to walk around in the woods. At this point, there is fence that's laying down that would be a trip hazard. There's also some glass dumped there that some of it is on the park property, some of it is not. but we don't want people just kind of plundering around and checking out what's there. So before we had people really in the park area, we would want to have that cleaned up. So what we would recommend going forward is to create a walking loop around that front field and a woodland path. And what we've sort of sketched out, and we'll show you a picture of that in a moment, is about a mile of trail combined. We would recommend not putting anything down, just let it be the ground, and keep in the field, keep the grass mowed short like a lawn. Again, it's flat, there are no trip hazards in there. And we believe that if you put some surface on it, whether that be crushed gravel or anything, that it's just going to create a maintenance expense, if nothing else. But we believe by just mowing a 10-foot wide path that you can have a good third of a mile walking trail just around that front field. And then we can create in the winter when the bugs are down and the snakes have gone to bed, we can get in there and clean that glass up and the fencing, and also create the trail around the edge of the woods there. We have a couple of benches that we could place right now, and we would like to get that done at some point before too long. And again, those invasives, the Virginia pines, they need to get taken care of straight away. We are concerned that in the back field of that property, there's not a clear demarcation of where the park starts and stops. We also know that, that easement road leads to neighbors' houses, and we need to be respectful of their property. So we want to be sure that we know where the park is, and we want to make sure that people who are visiting the park know where it is too. So I don't know whether we need to have a new survey or whether we need to just have whoever did the survey fairly recently come back and give us a few more markings so we can look at how to make that clear so people don't get in there and we don't start clearing trash from property that's not the park. We also believe, and Keith actually talked to us about this a little bit, that we need to create a driveway into the park and install a gate there. Rather than trying to use white dogwood, that will just further, could create problems with the neighbors. So what we would recommend to do, excuse me, is to place that driveway down fairly close to white dogwood. Excuse me. If you put it up at the other end of the field, traffic's coming over the top of the hill. It could be on somebody without too much of a notice there. We'd also like for the county to continue discussions with the Chestnut Street folks regarding a potential lease of the playground area there at the school across from White Dogwood, across from the park. Excuse me. And then investigate strategies to make a porta potty available. Maybe the county has a contract for porta potties. We know there's one at the green boxes across the street. So it would be real handy, especially while volunteers are there in the park working, to have some facilities. We'll look for the grant and to build the Chimney Swift Tower. We would need to partner with the Boy Scouts for that, and I've reached out to William Ames for that purpose. I can't remember what the bottom piece is. We don't seem to have the last thing. I think the last thing was to seek a grant and funding for the Monarch Garden, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Master gardeners, Stokes County Master Gardeners have agreed to help us with that. So this is what we're talking about. The green loop, we would just create by mowing. I think we can do the same thing really as far as the parking is concerned. We can use T-post and some orange fencing to mark where parking is initially. We would want to put the Chimney Swift Tower pretty close to the parking just because that's a good anchor for some signage. We already, in this left-hand corner down at the end of White Dogwood, we already have some milkweed there, so we've got to start for the Monarch Garden already. The pink trail is about 2/3 of a mile. We did have put a little cut through so you could get from the front field back to that back field if you're trying to move equipment back and forth. And again, that line that goes up towards the little pink dot, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that pink dot in just a minute. That line is really not clear at all. So anybody who's there to visit could well wander off the park property. So we'll switch gears now and maybe talk a little bit about the memorandum of understanding. We would propose that we work with the county to plan and implement the park, that will agree upon an implementation strategy, roles and responsibilities for each phase before we take any action. So that's what we'll be presenting to you all next, would be a project plan. That y'all will help us by providing oversight and support, and include us as a stakeholder in the development of the 2024 Parks Master Plan. That you'll provide financial support for the development and implementation through county funding and grants. And that you'll provide the liability coverage for volunteers and visitors throughout the park life span. Okay, and we'll look at what we will do is utilize our Community Decides meetings to collect stakeholder input for each phase of the park implementation. We will seek and apply for grants and other funding opportunities to augment funding that the county can make available to us. And we'll work with the subject matter experts, such as the three that we've already worked with, to make the best use of the park and its resources. Document each proposed phase. And present that proposal to you all, as I mentioned a moment ago. And we will maintain the park grounds to include mowing the fields and managing the forest. And we wanted to engage with media with your permission to announce the park and just make the county aware that it's there. So we'll talk about how that needs to happen. I assume y'all will want to proofread something. So that little dot that I showed y'all back there, thank you all. The little dot that I showed y'all back there a moment ago and told you that we'd come back to, that is the Primo bench location, I believe, for the whole property. You can sit there and have this lovely view of Moore's Wall from that spot. But this field, and I think where the grass is a little bit greener there on the left, is probably the property line. But it's not clear to me when we're walking through there exactly where it is. But that to me is just Primo. This is what we've tossed around about using for a sign early on. We want people to know that the park is coming, but we don't want people to be over there in the park until we can make it clear what the boundaries are, and we can get some rules posted and that sort of thing. And then I'll put us back on that lovely view if y'all have questions for me.
Any questions, comments?
Who designed the logo?
Kendall's granddaughter. That is our beta version. She's actually modified it a little bit more. The butterflies have open wings and look a little bit
Great
more
job.
monarchy. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
I love the idea of the monarch garden and the butterflies and the milkweed and stuff. And you're right, that is the Primo view. So let me know how much that sponsorship is for that bench. We'll go ahead and call that one. Yep, that's great. Y'all put a lot of hard work into this. I can tell y'all really been really thoughtful in trying to maintain the integrity of the nature of the park and not, steer too far away from, keeping that beauty and naturalness of it. It's going to be really, really nice, and I think y'all are headed in the right direction for sure.
Thank you. There is a tremendous amount of community enthusiasm for that park. And the folks that we were able to engage from the state and from Dan River Basin Association were very helpful in terms of giving us suggestions on how to maximize the property. So we're excited.
We'll have to figure out maybe whoever did the last survey can come and mark some more
Yeah.
so they can clearly see where those boundaries are for sure.
Yeah, we do plan to meet with the neighbors very soon. I just want to make sure that we are respectful of their property.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I think whenever, I know you're exploring those grant opportunities, and I think that the county's definitely engaged with you in that to match or whatever needs to happen to get some grants started. And I feel like that's a good way to get the ball rolling. And y'all are doing a good job with researching those opportunities. So it's exciting.
It is exciting.
I would suggest maybe that we get Amber to put together some kind of working group to work with them and go through all those things she described in here, the details. Whenever we had the school situation up there and we were trying to figure out how to best do that, we ended up with the grant and everything program, but that was done through a lot of meetings and working group with the county manager, and I can't remember who else, but probably people like Tori and whoever makes sense to put on there. And that way you guys could start having regular meetings to discuss how much money you need and things like that. And is the survey an old survey or a fairly current one, the one that you have?
It looks to me like it's pretty current. The tape is vibrant.
Jonathan Young put the tapes on the irons. That wasn't
okay.
the survey. We just found the irons.
Okay, I was thinking
We can find out. We'll find out.
Richard might have some. You might have something down there, right, in your office that.
Yeah, I made a note to look for that.
Okay. Okay, and otherwise, and one other thing, when the working group starts talking, is whether or not you might want to pursue a party grant. That's that's one that locks it in for being a park for 100 years or something, I think. But and there's a match requirement. But that's one way. I think we did some of the other ones have part of grants.
Yeah, Tori and I spoke about the part of grants a little while ago, and he did, I'm pretty sure, tell me that volunteer labor counted as in kind.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that a little bit of a.
Seemed to me like it's a 50% match, but I don't remember for sure. Does that sound right to you? Yeah. But anyway, good, great idea. Beautiful piece of property up there.
It is lovely, for sure.
I just want to say thanks. I mean, y'all are a dedicated group of people, I tell you. Sometimes, unfortunately, I know y'all are the core group that continue to do project after project after project. But the main thing is it's all going towards the betterment of the community. And for that, I thank you all. And, you've got my support with whatever we can do with the county to make sure that we're participating and that we're, help with the cash grants. And you're not asking for a handout. I mean, y'all are out there working your tails off. And I think that for that being that part of the community, I think it'll be there for generation after generation, and it'll only get better and better. So this is just the start of our working relationship. But thank you for coming back and making this presentation. I'm excited.
Thank you for allowing us to partner with you. We are excited.
Yeah, one last thing too is Amber or Glenda or combination might want to check on that liability insurance. I think adding that to our pool coverage would not be very expensive or be a big deal like our other parks are. Go and check and see how quickly. That's one of the first things you probably need to get done, have liability insurance. People are doing stuff up there, so yeah, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to have your reports from the second quarter reports for 2024. And first up is Fire Marshal Scott Aaron. How are you, Scott?
Good. Hope y'all are. Thank you for having us here today. Our second quarterly report, we've ran 85 incidents so far in this quarter. Most of them, obviously we all run more EMS than we do fire. Thank goodness that we don't have more fires than we do. Our revenues, our fire reports, that's when we have insurance companies that request copies of fire reports. That's where that comes from. We do, during our inspections, so I'll get to that down here. We conducted 67 inspections this quarter. That's not counting re-inspections, with 109 code violations. Of those were 6 citations issued that totaled up to be that $1,225 that we collected in citations. We did 4 foster home inspections, which in June, I know most of the government buildings here have been inspected in June. We kind of got it set up to where that we do inspections. We try to do them by fire districts. It used to be that we would come in, we may have an inspection in Pinnacle, we may have one in Pine Hall, and you'd be driving back and forth across the county. So we've tried to streamline it a little better and get it to where we're doing them areas by months. We did conduct some plan review for 2 campgrounds that are going in, and some building modifications. Public education, that's a big thing. We always love to get out and try to do public education. We were able to do 3 different classes for Site Tech for the high school program, to go out and do fire extinguisher training with them. We took the fire safety house out to a couple community events and set up and had the kids going through it. We were really blessed and lucky to try to get a fire extinguisher prop built with the help of a welding company down in Warner Cove and Hall Propane. They helped us out with getting this thing built. It saves us money as far as, and makes it easier to go out and do these fire extinguisher trainings. A whole lot less mess to clean up and easier to move around. We also, during April, we do all school inspections, so every school building gets inspected during April. North Carolina general statute requires that they be done twice a year, and they have to be done 120 days apart. So we try to work it out to where that we catch them in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, and not mess with testing and all that stuff. So all the schools were inspected in April, and those reports were given to the school board, to the school administration. The fire marshal's office also is involved in safety and accident review. So we had the accident review committee met with our regular meetings. We discussed 8 incidents, vehicle accidents in that quarter. And then our normal safety meeting, we discuss any safety concerns that department heads may bring before the county manager. So we'll discuss those. We also are included in the OSHA stuff. We work with OSHA Consultative Services. The next consultation service will be in July, which will be with the health department. So far, we've been able we've been able to cover 6 departments in the county, which some of those are large. With that consultative service, we can only request 4 properties at one time, 4 departments. So when we were able to do, it took us a while to go through EMS and through solid waste, through those green box sites. But all of those have been through this OSHA consultative service. So that helps us out with that in case OSHA does come in. We're already good. We're working with this consultative service. So they don't really have anything that they can look at with those. Emergency management side of it, the fire marshal's office. We did go into Surrey County on a drowning. Spent 2 days up there on a drowning in the Yadkin River. About the past weekend, we were on the Dan River assisting the fire departments with locating 5 missing kayakers. We used our drones for that, the thermal imaging drones. So they did come in handy with there. With the fire service, the sports side of it, we spent 2 weeks. One of the guys spent about 2 weeks going around with the people from the radio people to go around and update all the radios from mobile communications. So all the radios in the county that the fire departments have been updated and tuned up and working like they're supposed to now, should be. We did help host a career fair at the Emergency Services Building where the Sheriff's Department, EMS, and Fire Marshal's Office and the fire department were there to promote volunteerism and try to get people interested in local government. We do asbestos sampling for the fire departments. We did have a pretty big training with the Double Creek Fire Department, with the North Carolina Electric Membership Cooperative and Surrey Yakin Electric Membership Cooperative for the battery installation they put in the Double Creek area. So that was a big, kind of a big training, big deal for them. Any questions or anything?
You got any questions, comments?
Scott, on the vehicle, the accident review meeting, the board thing you guys have, it says 8 incidents in the second quarter. Is that average amount or high or low?
That's normal, pretty average, 6 to 8.
Is that 6 to 8 wrecks, or is it something different?
That could be as simple as somebody backed into a post, or EMS sometimes will have, maybe they hit a tree while they were out doing picking up a patient or something, or some are simple. Some of them are just very simple stuff, but we have to do it for our insurance that we have actually reviewed those. We do not review animal strikes, so if they do hit a deer, we don't look at that.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
I don't think I have any questions. It's a good report. Y'all are busy.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot to do.
How's the summer going at Bullet Top? This is your chance.
It sounded pretty crowded over the weekend, the 4th. It sounded like they had their hands full down there. And I know that'll come up at probably our next safety meeting. Will be some discussion about that, from what I understand.
Come up more than that meeting.
But you said you got log safety inspections. Y'all do that too, or I thought Jonathan did log safety stuff under OSHA.
Oh, that's the OSHA logs. What we do is each department does a self-evaluation of their department, such as health, whatever, and they submit it and we log it into a system.
Oh, that's a log in instead of a log like a tree. Okay. Clarifies that. Okay. That's all I had.
Scott?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up is the Veteran Service Officer, Larry Hunsucker, will present. Larry?
Hey,
Good
Larry.
evening, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. I believe you all have a copy of the report. I would first ask if there's any questions or clarifications needed on anything that I've written there. I would like to point out, I won't read this whole document that I've prepared. I will highlight a couple of the things that I think are really important going forward. Under future objectives, it is the desire of myself and the new Veteran Service Officer, Elaine Nelson, that now that there's 2 of us, that we try to find the time to do more community outreach. We would like to do this in order to inform the citizens of this county that this office is here. I am shocked that I hear people say on a far too frequent basis, "Oh, I didn't realize there was a Veteran Service Office here in the county." So we're going to do what we can to try to change that. We look forward to maybe working with civic groups in the area, the YMCA, and any other group that we can find that might be interested in us coming and present a overview of what we do, which is, in short, we serve the veterans and any eligible dependents of this county. at no cost to them. So that is our goal for this second quarter. We have continued to see a large number of veterans filing claims. Just as I wrote in the bottom paragraph on raw numbers and policies, over the second quarter, we had a total of 92 disability and pension claims that were submitted. These were new claims with people coming in for the first time and filing. We filed something like 30 applications for health care benefits. That's at the Kernersville VA facility. In addition, we filed other applications for additional benefits. So business, the number of people coming in for our assistance is very steady. The phones ring constantly. So we look forward to having a very productive third quarter with this outreach, starting hopefully within the next 30 days. We're going to try to arrange at least 1 to 2 outreaches per month. That's the goal we have set. And again, I'd like to thank every one of you for your support. And again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Any comments? Yeah, a question or two. Larry, how's the workload, the number of clients you're seeing match up to the staff you got, you and your new person there? Is it, I mean,
She has,
handling
it
it
has
okay?
definitely helped our ability to respond in a more timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
She is able to answer phones, cover when one or the other, if I'm out, she's there to answer the phones. We definitely have people, she's able to answer the phone. We have better coverage during the work week.
Okay,
and
good.
She is starting to handle a large number of claims on her own, so it's two of us doing what one person used to do.
Okay. She's
It's
accredited.
definitely
it
made a
said.
difference.
She's accredited now.
She was accredited, and she's just taking off like a rocket.
Okay, great. What's the hours that you guys are working? How many hours each?
Well, I'm still on my 4-day-a-week, 30-hour schedule, Monday
Okay.
through Thursday.
What's she doing?
Elaine works 20 hours since
Okay.
she was a retiree and was limited to that. She generally works Monday and Tuesday and half a day on Thursday.
Okay.
As she feels more confident, she may start working on Friday and taking Monday off. We're definitely looking at trying to cover 5 days a week.
That was really my question.
Yes,
Are you
okay,
getting
we're
to that
looking
point?
at that. It's just a matter of her feeling comfortable and ready to do that. And
That's
I
fine.
think that's coming really quick, and we'll be talking about that later this week as to how we want to start doing the schedule for coverage on Friday.
Yeah, that's a good idea. 5 days a week would really be good if you could do that.
Absolutely, that was one of the objectives to when we hired an additional person, was to be able to cover 5 days a week at least a half a day minimum.
Yeah. Could you talk just a little bit more about the VA Caregivers Program? That's where the VA is paying the spouse or friend to look after a disabled veteran? Is that what that is?
That is correct. That is a new program that was introduced by the VA last year to start paying caregivers for the care of severely disabled veterans. These are veterans who are disabled to the point where they're not able to perform at least 2 of their
Daily
normal
functions.
daily living activities, such as dressing, bathing,
Oh,
going to
okay.
the bathroom, feeding themselves. These veterans are veterans that require 24/7 care. We have had several applications and several approvals in this county for that level of service.
Good.
The VA pays a monthly stipend to the caregiver. I think it's somewhere in around $2,200 a month.
Is a standard
they
amount? It's a standard amount for everybody.
It varies slightly
it vary?
according to the geographic area in. The
Okay.
government uses that scale that they use on what the income thresholds are
Oh,
to
okay.
figure that out. So, but generally speaking, it will run somewhere between $2,200 to up to a high of about $2,800 per month.
Okay.
And the VA offers also support to that caregiver, and they have respite time off when VA will send in some of their healthcare staff to cover, to give the person a chance to have a day or to go out and to take care of their business.
Okay.
It's a very good program.
Yeah, it sounds
And,
like it.
I'm very proud that we are able to get as many of our citizens here that are in that situation to be able to get them involved in this program and
Yeah.
hopefully approved for it. That makes a difference to
Yeah.
the lives of not only the veteran, but of the family in general.
That's great. I'm 100% behind you getting more publicity out there so people will know all that kind of things all those kind of things are available. It's really important that we do that.
Anything
All I
else?
have.
I don't have a question, but it's a good report for sure, and I agree with what Rick just said about getting out there and the community outreach and making more people aware. I think that was huge. There's probably a lot of people that could benefit from your services that just is not aware that they're available. And I'd say the American Legion would be the first place to go if they don't already know about you, but maybe some of them.
Well, I'm a member of the Legion, and so they do know about it. But yes, that is a good place. They can certainly be
And
given
the
assistance.
Senior Center does a veterans breakfast
Right.
once a month too.
Yeah.
I think.
I have actually done that on at least 2 occasions.
Yeah.
So, but it's people are constantly coming and going, so it needs to be
That's right.
done again.
That's a great idea to reach out to the civic groups and get the word out about the services that are available for free, especially.
I would certainly entertain any suggestions from the community, from you folks, as to any places that you can think of that might be beneficial. Well, thank you all, and I wish you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. Next up is IT Director Ken Farmer. Come on down. Ken.
Primarily, most of the stuff's going to be covered. We discussed this last month over a lot of stuff during the budget. We've almost completed the implementation of the asset management and help desk software that I'd spoken of before. We're able to track now all calls we get, any details on any type of call we might work on, so that we can get analytics on that information and be able to tell who we're servicing and what are the primary issues we're dealing with. And over time, that's going to get better and better. Also, we're able to track about 90% of the assets we have now in the county as far as IT, the computers and routers and printers. We're averaging about 325 help desk calls a month. Last budget, DSS ordered a lot of computers. We've been configuring 20 laptops just recently, and having those wrapped up, we've also got 13 more desktops we're going to be doing for them. One other project we had with DSS in the second quarter was setting up DRC when EMS moved out of the old headquarters. We had to get the configurations going there, the printers working, the phone systems and all that, and help with that move. We're getting ready to implement the camera systems, the security camera systems in there. We're continuing with the migration of Southern software. Lee's been focusing on that a lot. He just went through the administration training last quarter. And we'll continue to push on with that with the jail, the sheriff's department, E911. We worked a lot with GIS in the last quarter, getting some, with the migration away from Flex to Southern, they're getting a lot of the streets squared away. So they're having to do a lot of data input to Flex so that can be migrated over to Southern. We did a lot of work with VPNs, configuring them, increasing their security awareness. And that has a lot to do also with the DRC. Toward the beginning of the second quarter, we were still wrapping up a lot of the Cisco and the firewall equipment here. And the remote sites such as DRC and soon to be Autumn Square will have a connection to them directly, so that, and that equipment is going to be tied into the Cisco. So we're kind of doing the DRC first. Autumn Square is going to end up being next. We continue to maintain Spillman or Flex on a daily basis, adding, deleting users, dealing with whatever they might need us to do there, and looking over the contracts and making sure we're doing things just right when it comes to switching over to Southern, and the timelines have to be right for the support we might have to get for Flex in the future or not. All right. And we updated all the security certificates for the county also for the domains that we have and possess and use. That's all I got. I could go into a lot of detail on a lot of stuff, but those are the large things. We're continuing to do a lot of maintenance, a lot of support of end users. Questions?
Any questions or comments? Yeah, I would just say I'm glad to see you're continuing to focus on increased security and protection for our system. There's so many threats out there these days, it's unbelievable. So
we're getting ready to move into CrowdStrike. I didn't talk a lot about what we're getting ready to come up and do, but I just spoke with CrowdStrike this week, so I'll probably end up talking to him in more detail next week since it was approved in the budget. We'll get that rolling forward, but that'll be implemented.
okay.
Just like with Genuity, the asset tracking software, we're going to have to go to each machine and install that, and we'll be able to monitor what's going on at those machines, and it'll be reporting back. But that's coming. That's coming soon.
What is the high level purpose of CrowdStrike? I mean, what are its capabilities?
Reporting back what's going on.
Okay.
The next meeting we have, I can give you a lot more detail. I didn't prepare quite for all the stuff but the real key to it is reporting the stuff back to you. Right now we have McAfee at each one of the different machines, and we don't know what's going on unless the user lets us know something's happening. This will report back to a central location so that we can monitor what might be going on with any type of malware or viruses, and we're getting a continuous feed from them.
Yeah, my familiarity with it is politicians use it to destroy emails with, right? It has been in the past. So.
I wish I had that.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
So that's why I was wondering what we were doing with it.
Bit. We talked about this last time. Bit something, or of course, you could use a cloth. Killer.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And the other question I have is the help desk, that software, is that like something they call in or something they could computer into you to go to the help desk? I mean, like, what's the big benefits of the help desk software that you're putting?
There are a couple ways to do it. We could have them actually log in and create accounts for everybody in the entire county. It just seemed easier to start off with, and probably will remain like this, is we have it up on our desktops all the time. When they call in, we'll fill the ticket out. We'll assign the department to it. So it'll be the person who takes the call. Then we assign it typically to ourselves. Then we'll put the department down. It'll have a subject, which we're coming up with ways that we're going to start doing the subject so that we can break them down a lot easier.
Okay.
Then you describe the problem, and you enter it. And then if you come up with a solution, that's the next entry you make into it. Or if it's a running ticket, and we have probably 20 running tickets now of larger projects that are coming up, like we're going to be setting up Wi-Fi in the sheriff's office. We're going to be setting up Wi-Fi in the jail. We've got a lot of projects like that. Southern is a constant running ticket where you go back and you report any changes that you've heard or dealt with or whatever, and then submit that.
Okay.
If you're in an email, like if it's something going on with gyms, or we're talking to tech support at Harris, we'll enter the email conversations back and forth.
Is it a 24-hour system?
Pardon?
Is it a 24-hour system? People use it 24 hours or just during the normal work day?
It's just us using it. It's just the three of us are entering all the data. No one else enters anything into it.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I have.
I've got just a general question about county website. I don't think it's been, I know things are being added to it as things come up and things have to be put on there, but I don't know when the last time it was basically overhauled or to maybe make it a little more user friendly. But that's something down the road I'd like to see us take a look at, maybe updating some things about it. To some folks have a lot of trouble navigating it. It's not the easiest one I've ever been on either, but I don't know what to compare it to. So, maybe we can look at some other county websites and see who's really, I know it's what we've had for a long time, but I think it could be improved upon down the road, just what I'm saying. I don't know how expensive that would be, and I don't know if that'd be a budgetary item or if it would be just something we can do in-house. It wouldn't be that expensive.
I agree, and I'll look into that. I have looked at different county websites. Several counties in the area are actually using the same software we're using, like Surrey County. I noticed that, but you're free to choose how you set it up. I think things could be rearranged.
I know since you've been here, you've had your plate full, and we've got a website that's manageable and usable, so it ain't been the top priority. So
Right.
one of these days when you get caught up.
Yeah, right. We just bought 5 licenses. Some of the departments want to do their own editing of their pages. So we have the licenses, and I've told them, give me a little bit of time. We'll all gather up in the conference room, and I'll go over some basic rules on how to do it and how don't do's and don'ts.
Gotcha.
And we'll just adjust from there, but that'll give them the freedom to be able to make edits on their own. But I understand what you're saying. The navigational issues aren't very intuitive, and
Right.
we can certainly look into that a lot more detail.
Good report. Thank you.
But you would sign off on the final edition by the departments. You're not just going to turn them loose.
I'm going to watch them. I think it's going to be one from each department that's going to be the one that's doing it, and it's a WYSIWYG editor. So what you see is what you get. They can type in, and that's exactly what it's going to look like, and they submit it. And I'll go over with them. Don't be doing anything crazy. And if you have a problem, call me immediately.
You can control which pages they edit too, then, right?
You can't
thought
narrow
we
it down
could.
that much. There are different content management packages. That one does not allow you to. You can't. It's not that easy. Right. All right.
And just one quick, I just got a comment, like with the help desk, and I'm not talking about now, but I think it's something to look at, because where I've worked before, we contracted out for the help desk thing where it was 24/7, but it kind of alleviated our staff IT people from being inundated, with the small stuff. And also it helped with, because obviously we got people that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, public safety specifically, and I know some of the DSS, and so that's maybe something for the, just keep your eye on that if it would get to the point where if it would benefit the county to do something like that. I think we need to take a look at it. And then the second thing, I just want you to make sure that don't get so bogged down on day-to-day stuff that you forget about, the professional development, your training, and what's coming around the corner. I mean, IT changes in a heartbeat, and part of the problems that we've had here in the past is our directors, our leaders, they've been so bogged down in trying to finish out what happened yesterday, plugging in numbers and constantly, trying to chase things down. And when that happens, especially in a field such as IT, it doesn't take long to be under the gun again about, where we need to go. So and I know you've done an excellent job. Your people have done an excellent job. Just don't get so embedded in what we got going on today and forget about that there's another world out there besides the Reagan building.
Right. We've scheduled the security courses. We found stuff that's in Greensboro, so they'll be able to drive every day, instructor led. Those are coming up. Now that you mention it, so I understand what you're saying totally.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up is Tori Mabe. from Economic Development Tourism. How are you, Tori?
Doing good. Thank you for letting me be here today. Just got back from an Arts Council meeting, so we're busy day. Of course, Eddie and I do still collaborate a lot with the Arts Council and Economic Development here in Stokes County, and being a big economic development and tourism driver there at the Arts Place. As you see in the report for the second quarter, at the very beginning, I list the site and project requests that we received from the Economic Development Partnership in North Carolina, which is a division of North Carolina Commerce. In the second quarter, we received 30 requests, and 2 of those would have qualified for a potential in King, and I passed those along to the City of King and Kent Hunter and their planning director there in King for any requests that they could submit back, but they didn't have anything that would fit the stipulations that were in the request. And just as of today, we've received a request on the 2nd of July and one on the 4th of July, and most of these requests have about a week turnaround for you to get information back to them on site ready or spec buildings or shovel ready sites. So in the annual report for 2023, we had 95 total requests, and so far this year we've had 52 requests. So it's trending upward, I guess you could say. And in the quarterly report, I mentioned about we have a lack of available on the market inventory, a lack of available shovel ready sites, spec buildings, or even financial options on properties. And that's something that would be a good goal for economic development to look forward to in the future. Of course, we're working on various septic and water projects, and I've set in on those meetings each quarter of this year with the Sewer and Water Authority. Many of the requests that come in for buildings or sites, they're wanting 100 plus acres, greenfield or shovel ready, and larger buildings with tall ceiling heights than anything that we have available. I also just recently set in on a conference call. This might be something that we can look into in the future, but there are some companies out there that will search the MLS listings and various real estate listings for available retail and on the market facilities and buildings that we could add into our website, and it would just go out there and search it automatically, because we do have access to input information into the EDPNC website when we know of sites that are available, and then companies looking to move to North Carolina, they can look at that website and any of our properties that we have listed on there. We currently just have 1 property listed on there. In the second quarter, Brandon Hooker provided me the information on the number of assumed business names that were registered. We had 16 registered in the second quarter. And in the quarter previously, there were 16, and there were some amendments. So a issue that we have with updating some of our websites and our app is that we don't necessarily have a business license. So when new businesses open, it's either me finding out about it on Facebook, like with the new Feather Pick business coming to Walnut Cove in the near future. I keep up with it that way through my own searching and finding of the businesses. They don't necessarily contact or let us know. Of course, Brandon can print me reports that show who the businesses are that have registered assumed business names. In the report for the second quarter, we've listed some of the new businesses that have opened in quarter 2, which included Black Dog Acres RV Park in the Pilot Mountain area of Stokes County, but in Stokes County. Creations Coffee in the Adam Stewart building in Walnut Cove. And then there's a pawn shop that just recently opened in King there at the crossroads. Businesses closing in the the second quarter, Stratford Barbecue of King and Gentry Hardware announced they're going to be closing and selling their business there on Main Street. Throughout the second quarter, we attended many various events, including the Farmers Appreciation event at South Stokes. We've worked with the county manager on the development of the food truck policy and reaching out to those food trucks to get that set in stone over the last year with some surveys, and we have that policy ready. We attended the Stokes County EMS 50th anniversary celebration at Moore Springs Manor. the Duke Energy nuclear site tour, which is very informational and beneficial for economic development in Stokes County. A lot of good information have been received from those meetings that we've had out there at Duke Energy and with Jimmy Flythe. In I think it was April, I attended the Piedmont Triad Partnership Breakfast briefing on economic development, where various economic developers met up at High Point University. They do this every year, and Governor Cooper was there to speak on the state of the economy and the budget that he was putting in. We've attended Stokes to Surrey connector networking meetings ever since that group was started by Amy Barnes, and in April, March or April, one of those months, I can't remember. It was April, because it would have been Q2. We provided a presentation and update on economic development in Stokes County, and I had put together a PowerPoint presentation. We had about 30 people in attendance at the Arts Place for that networking meeting, where we gave an update on various projects that we've worked on over time. We reviewed the 2023 annual report that I put together for economic development and tourism. We attended a Visit North Carolina listening meeting on the direction of marketing for Visit North Carolina and the whole structure of Visit North Carolina in general. Chris Kavanaugh hosted that in High Point. We've been working continuously on Moortalk Park Land and Water Conservation Fund updates with the relocation of the bridge project that's going to be coming up in 2026. We've worked with the company that's representing DOT that has the contract, Remy Kemp. They may be under a new name now. I don't know the exact name of their company at the moment. But we have worked with them to get new updated boundary maps, and we're working on the offset property that's going to have to be purchased because they're putting a new bridge on right-of-way on top of parkland that was purchased with federal funds. So that has been almost monthly, just various projects with the bridge replacement going on. Cooperative Extension, we've worked with them and the Forsyth Tech group on the agritourism curriculum for the agritourism conference planned for October. We also assisted with the farm tour that was held that Savannah presented to you last commissioner meeting. We've had a number of marketing meetings over the last quarter since April with WXII, Destination Magazine, the various venues that we advertise with on a regular, just to get updates on what they can offer, how we want to shift our marketing around based on numbers that they can provide from demographics. We assisted Patty at the Historical Society with a tour at the museum. Brandon Hooker also assisted with that. They had some classes from Walnut Cove Elementary come up. Of course, I also serve on the Habitat for Humanity board and have been attending the home groundbreakings that have been going on. We had one in first quarter on Snow Hill Church Road and then one in this quarter on Snow Hill Church Road. Lots of good things going on with Habitat for Humanity. Anna Wheeler, Lindsay Pegg of Rockingham County Tourism. We've been working on the Dan River State Trails Weekend, which is coming up on August the 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be a whole weekend of adventures along the Dan River in Stokes County and in Rockingham County. And it's going to start in Rockingham on a Thursday with a trivia night at one of their downtown breweries. And then on Friday, there's going to be some events in Eden. And on Saturday the 3rd, I think Saturday's the 3rd. Whatever Saturday is in that date range, there's going to be a first Saturday paddle that the Dan River Basin Association hosts. They schedule their first Saturday outings in advance, and this year they scheduled one to start at Pitzer Road, our newest river access, and it will end at Hemlock. And local outfitter Dan River Company will be providing kayaks or canoe boat rentals to anyone who wants to attend this. And you just reach out to the Dan River Company. There will be a flyer out shortly on this whole weekend with the whole schedule of events, which will end at the Green Heron Ale House and Dan River Company on Flincham Road. And anyone's welcome to attend. And any of the events, you don't have to attend them all. You don't have to even do the float if you don't want to float. But if you want to find out some information on the Dan River, definitely check out the Dan River State Trail Weekend coming up August 1st through the 3rd. Something else we worked on in this quarter, we worked on with the Dan River Basin Association. They've applied for some funding for the Dan River State Trail to help update some of the signage and kiosk at our river accesses. We've had some documentation that Amber signed off on. There were some studies done on each of the access points, and they're ability, what they offer at the points, from either a ramp for putting your boat in, or at Pitzer, the railing system that can help you get your boat down to the shore, and the handicap access. One thing that I did get in a call from the Dan River Basin Association is that the river access is above Flincham Road, which would be Hart access, and Jessup's Mill would not be available for any of that funding because they are disconnected from Flincham Road by more than 12 miles. And to get the funding, the river access points have to be about 6 to 7 miles between each point throughout your county. So, and of course the Hart access is the one that needs a lot of work, and there's some property there that could have more parking. The driveway needs a lot of work. The Jessup's Mill access, maybe portions of it going away because they're going to be replacing that bridge out there as well. So we also represented Stokes County for National Travel and Tourism Week in May. We were at the I-77 Visitor Center, giving out all kinds of information. We've attended that visitor center with Jeff for at least in the last 7 or 8 years, and that's always a great opportunity to reach out to folks coming into North Carolina, let them know about Stokes County and what's around, and we always have a great turnout of Piedmont Triad destinations, and we all work together to help promote and share what's going on throughout the whole Piedmont. We attended the North Carolina Arts Day Conference in Raleigh in April, and I have monthly webinars with Visit North Carolina where they are presenting best practices or various opportunities with Civil War trails, America's 250th anniversary, and various programs that Visit North Carolina is partnering with that the local destinations can put your information in online, so we keep up with all of that on the tourism side of economic development. Some various professional organization meetings that we attend, the Northwest RPO and TCC meetings with PTRC, where various roadway projects are discussed. I wasn't able to attend the most recent one, but Eric Nance attended. We've attended all of the Stokes and Surrey Connector networking meetings, and since the start of the year, the King Economic Development Committee has started back up their bi-monthly meetings, and we've attended all of those except for the June one. I had a conflict and wasn't able to make it, but we'll be at the August meeting. The Agritourism Conference organizational meetings, Stokes Partnership for Books, planning meetings, as I serve on the Stokes Partnership as a board member and representative for Stokes County. And of course the King Chamber of Commerce, we help out with them in their various programs and sponsorship for events. With King Fest coming up, we sponsored Meet Me on Main. We always sponsor the golf tournament that'll be coming up as well. And also in Q2, we submitted 2 different reimbursements for the Building Reuse Grant Project Mitchell. That is the only incentive project that we have going on currently. And there were also 3 other requests that were made that are of confidential matters. In terms of tourism, the second quarter we were filled with getting things in line for advertising for the summer rush, making sure we had print ads and graphics completed. We've made a lot of work on getting the Tourism Development Authority together, with getting our board members together. We had our first meeting in late May. The Tourism and Development Authority will be having a meeting on this Wednesday, and we're going to have that meeting at the Days Inn in King, and going to get a tour from Pete and Sam Patel there, so that's going to be great. We're going to introduce the whole tourism board to their business and let them speak to us as a board. I've met also with Greystone RV Park. Kane and his wife came up to talk about ideas that they have for their properties and future development in that area if they are to be able to get public sewer and water. We had a connector meeting at Black Dog Acres, and they opened in May and had a great July 4th weekend just now, but when we were there middle of June, we were there on a Wednesday, and there were about 6 or 8 sites that were occupied, and they had more people coming in on the weekend. Ian has had higher expectations than maybe his wife had, but he feels like it should be booked and filled every weekend. But then he was telling us about how different camping groups have found them, and they're scheduling events for next year where they'll have maybe a car show or some event that'll be held on the property, and all of these people who travel and bring their campers will come to his campsite where he has about 35 sites, and they'll be able to rent sites to attend this event. So, and he has about 3 different events planned, big scale events like that planned for next year. So I think it's definitely picking up for him. I'm sure he'll be getting some return visitors who are finding their way and their time up there at his RV park. We've observed various pitches for advertising. We're always getting phone calls about some new program or some new product. I had a webinar with a company that does content creation for user-generated content for tourism. Basically, you've got all of these folks on social media who are influencers, and this company works with those influencers, and you can recruit them to come to your area to spend a weekend and write content from a visitor standpoint, which is definitely the content that we learned at Visit North Carolina in March, that visitors, when they travel, they're looking for in-person, from the person perspectives of the advertising, and they don't just want you pushing out, hey, go visit this because of this, this, and this. So that's something that we'll be pitching to the TDA on Wednesday, and maybe some of our TDA funding can go towards that. I have at the end of the quarter 2 report the TDA income that has come in. We've had over $10,000 received. In April of 2024, $2,753.40. And in May, Airbnb started showing up, and the total in May was $8,242.55. And I know Richard Brim has provided some information on that, and I'm sure he'll have additional information. But we have a TDA board that's willing and ready to go and help to bring together projects and other opportunities to market and bring additional visitors to our great parks like Francis Coe Park and Hanging Rock State Park, which as of the end of June was at the same percentage visitation-wise as the previous year. So they haven't had either a big jump or a loss in visitation. They're staying at the 2023 numbers. With the TDA and occupancy tax collection, we had hoped after the passing of the resolution to get that to start being collected on April the 1st, but as Chris Kavanaugh told us at our first meeting when we were having a TDA and occupancy tax meeting at the Arts Place, that it'll be some trickle in there, and the TDA boards will have to make exceptions for vacation rentals or owners who are trickling in after the date. Maybe they've got bookings that have been made. They've already been paid, and they don't want to charge the folks, so the TDA board can look at that. And hopefully as of last week, VRBO is still not collecting, so we've got to get in touch with somebody there. In terms of other folks we are getting some good information back on our occupancy tax collections.
How do you feel about that? How's it going? Is it going better than I thought, or?
Yeah, I think it is going better than we thought, yeah. And Richard has said the same thing. Me and Richard talked when Richard called me and gave me all the numbers for May, and we're Days Inn and King is providing a good supply of the income, and so is Airbnb from the numbers in May. And of course, all that occupancy tax revenue is from visitors to the area and not from the pocket of the vacation rental owner. I think that, in 2 months we've collected over $10,000, and it'll really go a long way to helping with some additional promotions.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Thing we were talking about, the business license. Do most counties do that? Do they make a business register or buy a business license? Is that a common practice?
There are various counties that do have, I don't know the percentage of ones in North Carolina, maybe we could look at that, but
Be interesting to know. I mean, that would give you a way of knowing what businesses are here or coming, or I mean, we might not would be grandfather in, I guess, but looking at new businesses, maybe have them, I don't know what that all entails, but it might be something worth looking into.
I'm kind of shocked we don't have it.
might be something to where, at the end of 2023 or in the year 2023, we put together a little two-sheeter that shows some steps of who to contact when starting a business. If it's the Register of Deeds, to register your assumed business name, or the environmental health for your septic and water, and then planning and zoning. But if they come and register for a business license, maybe you give them that little one sheeter that is a bit of a tutorial that somebody new to the area may not know the offices to go to, like the local folks assume that
Do you know when Mitchell's going to open in Meadows? When they're building?
Not sure when
supposed to open.
Not sure when they're going to open. The end of their incentive with the building reuse grant is supposed to be paid out by October, end of October. We have a 6 months report due July the 15th. Let's see. They've got their check for their reimbursement that was sent in May, and we've submitted another one, but there was some holdup on the state side due to the end of the fiscal year happening. So hopefully we'll have that money back for that reimbursement, and we should be at around 80 to 90,000 that they are still due from the 200,000 that they started with. Basically, they're getting that 200,000 from the state, and they're spending 200,000 to renovate and update the building. But I need to talk with Christy this week to finish up that July 15th report that's due, and maybe I'll get a better update and idea on the number or the date. I know that recently she was here getting some permits and inspection to get the power turned on completely.
What about the big blue building in Meadows? Anything going on with that?
Haven't heard anything in that market other than I believe that Stewart and Public Works had reached out, and the owner of the building is not interested in selling or doing any kind of option.
Not trying to sell the building?
Not actively selling it.
What's he trying to do with it? Just let it sit there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'd have to, maybe me and Stewart can go.
Guess that's his business, not mine, so. Okay, that's all I had.
The building that we do know about that's available for lease or rent is the old DM Square building out along 52. They moved into their new building and they are ready to lease, and they're wanting to lease it, they're not wanting to sell it, but that's the one that Kent Hunter knows about if we had any requests to come across.
All right, thank you, Tori.
All right, thank you.
Our tax administrator, Richard Brim. On down.
Good evening. Hey, Richard.
Let's put away here. First item I'll talk about is the second quarter update for the tax office. Second quarter's been very busy for us. Had a lot going on. I'll briefly give some highlights about each unit of the tax office and what's been going on. Our collection staff has worked hard to implement and done a great job in the collecting of the occupancy tax. And as Tori spoke about, we've collected just about $11,000 in 2 months. So that's really good. I know some businesses are not reporting through VRBO, and we're actually working to try to get those folks to do that. But VRBO is kind of hard to contact. They're kind of like the man behind the curtain. So we was able to get Airbnb on board for last month. So hopefully we can do that going forward with VRBO. We've processed 874 gap bills for motor vehicles, and they've worked diligently on collecting delinquent accounts. They garnished 167 accounts for a total of 167,351, and they've collected 64,162 of that amount. EMS billing and collections, they billed 458 transports. Total charge is a little over $939,000. We've collected in the last quarter, prior and current, almost $605,000. Our GIS mapping department has processed 444 deed transfers, reviewed 65 plats, created 139 new parcels, added 67 new E911 addresses, and updated some layers on the maps, removal of the Pilot Knob Fire Station, also removal of the Lawsonville and Pine Hall school districts, and changed zoning on 130 parcels. property listing. They have successfully completed listing, evaluating all the business and individual personal property accounts, finalized reviewing all the elderly and veteran exemption applications, and been coordinating with South Data, our print vendor, and Farragut Systems in preparation of our annual 2024 billing. They have began reviewing all NC, DMV, and watercraft list in preparation of the 2024 discovery period that will begin in September. Personal property department is currently down an employee. Brandy Fryer has took a position as office manager in planning and zoning. We congratulate Brandy on her promotion, and we currently have a vacancy, and that vacancy, the last day to apply will be on July the 10th, so that's coming up on Wednesday. Real property appraisal is very busy. As you know, we're working on revaluation. They are also out in the field looking at appraising new construction. And they're working every day on the revaluation, conducting field reviews, market analysis, sales reviews, things like that. We've been putting the finishing touches on our schedule of values that we will be presenting to the board on the August 12th meeting, and then followed by a public hearing that we'll have on that on August 26th. Tax office gearing up for a busy third quarter. August is one of our busiest months, with the tax bills going out and people coming in to pay those. A lot of times when people come in to pay, they have other questions about things. We'll have personal property appeals going on, so we'll definitely have an increase in phone calls and foot traffic. And, our primary focus is to operate at a high level of efficiency and have good customer service and meet taxpayers' needs and expectations, and have good public relations. So that's all I have on the information for the second quarter update for the tax office.
Questions, comments?
One question, Richard. The overnight rentals, if they're not using VBRO or VRBO or Airbnb, then you have a form where they fill in, send you the tax. They collect it themselves and they send it to you, right?
Yeah, it's totally opposite. They send us the money and we create the bill after they send us the money. So it's basically an honor system, but that's the way it works. But we do have a list. Our GIS department, Greg, has put together a layer along with Tori, and we've analyzed that list. A lot of our properties are on Airbnb and VRBO. We do have a few, such as the Days Inn, Big Creek Lodge, Luna's Trail, and some other individuals that just send in monthly because that's the way they choose to operate their business.
Required a monthly payment.
Yes, sir. Like right now, the June payment is due by July 20th. We have had some late payments coming in, but right now the TDA, I think what we're doing initially is kind of waiving those penalties and all, and letting everybody get their feet under them. And at some point when the TDA tells us to start enforcing those, we'll do that at that time.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
Anything? Good report.
Thank you, Richard. We'll go to the discussion agenda and just stay right there.
Yeah, Amber saved me a few steps. First part of this is the main focus is our annual settlement. At the end of the fiscal year, end of June 30th, we're going to have to settle out our 23-24 fiscal year before we can move to the 24-25. In the report, the first 13 pages primarily talk about the collections for tax year 23. Pleased to report that for our county and education fund, we were about $94,266 over budget, so we exceeded budget. That's always good. Then the next page after that, you're going to find this labeled annual county settlement, where we delivered $97,130.05 in prepayments to our finance department. Then you'll find a resolution of settlement that pertains to delinquent taxes. In February, I reported to the board on our 2023 delinquents. For real property, we had 3,383 real property delinquent bills with a principal due of $1,536,650. 44. As of July 1, that number's been trending down from 3,383 to 1,237 delinquent bills, and it's gone from 1.5 million down to $456,251.09. The next page just shows all the delinquent taxes that are due, broken down by property type and by tax district. The next page is the order of compliance per North Carolina General Statute 105.352. And then the next item is our report of insolvents for real property. In the settlement, you'll find 7 parcels that are insolvent. All these insolvent properties were county-owned property that we sold as surplus property, and we didn't sell them for enough to cover the taxes, so we have no choice to deem them insolvent and write that off. And then you also have 1 personal property account that's insolvent that was for a manufactured home. Next item is a personal property collections report that's broke down by tax district. And then you'll find a resolution that orders the insolvent amount for 2023 be entered into the minutes as the exception insolvent amount, orders the tax liens for 2023 property taxes for the purpose of collections to be recharged to the Stokes County Tax Administrator, orders that this settlement for delinquent prior year taxes be entered into the minutes, and the uncollected balance of said taxes be recharged to the Stokes County Tax Administrator for the purpose of collection, and orders that the 2023 property tax settlement by the Stokes County Tax Administrator be accepted in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 105.373E. The final item I have is the charge to collect order for the fiscal year 24-25 taxes that authorizes us to bill those out and start collecting them. That's all I have on the settlement. And then the next item, for me personally, is very important to me. It's a reappointment. I'm requesting that my appointment runs out next month, so I'm requesting that the board reappoint me for 4 years. I would greatly appreciate that. So would my wife. I'm requesting the annual settlement resolution for fiscal year 23 and 24, the order to collect fiscal year 2024-25, real and personal property insolvents, and the reappointment be placed on the July 22nd consent agenda. Tax bills are scheduled to be mailed on July 25th, and that way everybody have them for the whole month of August to take advantage of the 2% discount that this board grants to the citizens of the county. And I did talk about the revaluation, but I'll just quickly mention a couple things. We are on pace to get it done by the end of the year, but by the slimmest of margins. It's a lot that goes into it. We have our team is working hard. We have a lot of other duties that we have to do, but we will get there, and the trends are holding steady. Values are still holding strong. So unless we have some kind of catastrophic something happen to the market over the next 6 months, our values will increase significantly. That's all I have.
So the reval will be done before or right after the election.
Yeah, right after the election. That's coincidental.
Yeah. Saying that could affect some things.
Yeah, but
how that turns out.
Worried about it.
No, not me. How about the presidential election? Oh, man.
Richard, the delinquent taxes run about the same level each year? Like, are they trending in any particular direction or about the same as last year?
About the same. I've actually got that right here. Back everything but the kitchen sink in this little folder. Back last year, I can tell you where we were last year. Should have had that written down, but it's pretty close. Let's see. Yeah, like last year on our real property, we had 1,281 bills. That was 501 due, and this year we're 1,237 with 456 due. Our overall delinquent last year was, for everything that's due, all districts, all property types, was $1,751,900, and this year
That figure is $1,764,265. So what is that? $14,000 difference. They don't agree with that much, so staying pretty close.
Must be the same folks.
Yeah, generally it is, and a lot of people they pay, but they kind of pay on their own time, which is good for the county because we get 0.75% additional every month that they're delinquent.
All right, Richard, thank you.
Good job, thanks.
You're welcome. Next up is the courthouse addition and renovation bids. And Glenda, come on up.
Good afternoon. As you all know, we received the bids for the courthouse addition and renovations on June the 12th. And the bid tab was in your packet, agenda packet. Davy Construction submitted the lowest bid. I would like to request the board that we approve to proceed with awarding the contract to Davy Construction. If we can move that to action tonight, that would be great because we're trying to meet a timeline for LGC. But Perry is also here to answer any questions or anything that you all might have, or if he wants to come up and talk about anything. And that's kind of where we stand with it.
If you'd like, Larry.
Come on, Perry.
Are we approving the alternates? Do we accept any of the alternates?
That's what Perry's working on. Alternates.
Yeah, we are actually still in the process of trying to do a few things post-bid, one of which is finding items that we can eliminate to save some money without really causing any harm to the project. And what we're trying to do is get some pretty sizable things. And that's in progress now. The way it works is we're going from both directions. In other words, the designers, they've been tasked to find things that we can look at. And also the contractors who bid, they're being tasked to look from their end. That everybody sees things a little bit differently. So if we get both of them looking, we can find the things to do. So then ultimately what I have to do is see what all those items are, what the numbers are, and then we'll have to get with everybody to figure out which ones are actually worth doing. We don't have a total number of what we're trying to get at this point, so they're still collecting information, but we want it to be sizable. Basically by statute, we can go 10% of the contract amount, so obviously we could take up to $1 million out and still not have to rebid. But I don't see us getting to $1 million. But and you can remember the last time I came and talked to the board, we had a little extra time, so I went back on things and tried to carve a lot of money out. And so the easy things have already happened. So now we're kind of looking at tougher things. But as far as the project goes, what we'll need to see is obviously all the approvals that Glenn is working on. Then the first thing we have is the parking lot up the hill gets done so that we can move all the parking down by the building site out. And after that, elections hopefully by then is moved into their new facility, if they're not in there already.
Getting close.
Getting close.
Waiting on desk.
And then what happens is probation moves out of their offices into where elections moved out so that the renovation can start over in that portion of the building while the addition's being built. So there's this kind of it's almost like a chess game of folks moving pieces as things get completed that'll be happening. So see a lot of movement and a lot of things happening. So it's going to be an exciting project to build. There's a lot of things to it.
What's your best case scenario for starting the project, like starting actual construction?
The way it's set up is our best case scenario is August 15th start, and then it's a 2-year period.
The financing will be, when the notice to proceed will be when the LGC, when they all get done and the closing documents. They gave us, the financial people gave us the date of August 15th is when we could proceed. So.
The parking's gonna be at the helipad where it was at before?
Yes.
Yes, and we're basically at the point, we're just waiting on DOT. We've already contracted with them. They were the lowest bid to
Pave it.
And they're going to do the grading and the paving. So they're going to do it all. So we've already signed the contract for it. We're just waiting on them from that standpoint. The helipad should be finished up, relocating it at the hospital. They were actually pouring or getting ready to pour last week.
DOT doing that too? Or?
No, we had a contractor do it.
What grading they have to do at the helipad?
It's just basically, I think it's just basically taking the grass off. It's not a lot of grading. I think that's why they said, we can take care of that for you. It was just included in their paving portion.
Yeah, there's a little bit of rock right at the very top, so there's not much we can do grade-wise without spending a lot of money.
These are all pretty close together, weren't they?
They were. I would have liked to have had more bids, obviously, lower bids. There was a couple things we ran into that were kind of unique, one of which there were some categories of work that didn't have any bids, which we very infrequently see that, where the contractor basically had to assume a number that they thought it would cost. So things like that happen, prices go up. But that was kind of an uncommon thing that we learned about. We also only had one electrical subcontractor bid. So our competition wasn't at the level that we like to see to get a low number.
What do you attribute that to? Just a lot of work out there for people?
Yeah, a lot of work, and it's just kind of how things, where folks are at. That I know a couple electrical contractors told us that they would love to do it, love to bid it, but they had their manpower stretched so far, so thin, they just felt they couldn't in good conscience submit a bid and live up to it, which I hated to hear because that would have helped us out too.
Is the parking, once the building's complete, some of the parking will come back? Right?
Yes.
But for the time being, while construction's happening, you don't need people, I guess, parking too close to the construction.
No, they won't want to.
Right. So
They
there
will
won't
find
be
out.
any parking probably in that parking lot, or some right there, maybe at the DSS.
We haven't cut the whole thing off, so there is still some.
I think my thought process would be, we would ask especially our employees to park up there, and then, leave some spaces there because basically DSS is all we're worried about, because the bottom, only employees can go to the bottom floor from the sheriff's department side. They just need to park up what we call on the hill, and then, utilize that area for whatever DSS would for customers or clients that need to come in. And maybe even down the side to help that out. Maybe, they already utilize the upper parking lot beside the Public Works building. Our DSS already uses that for their county vehicles. So they go up and switch out to help with the parking already. So they're kind of used to that, parking in a different spot. This will actually be a little closer for them. So they'll probably appreciate that. So.
Right.
I think we lose like 10 or 12 spaces, so it's not a tremendous loss of
I remember you
space.
saying that initially when we looked at the design and stuff, that when it was all done, it wouldn't be but a couple of rows or something.
But there's just not enough parking there
Period.
right now, so yeah. So we're thinking up the hill, just improve the situation, and then we go further up the hill if you need more.
That's true. And we'll need a shuttle.
Yeah. Yeah, we may have to factor that in next. Golf carts. But basically, we will come back with a final number on an actual contract. But this is just to say we are awarding the contract to them, so we can proceed on with the financing portion. And then, when Perry gets done doing all of his carving and everything, we'll definitely come back and say this was our final number. Just an update to you all, so let you know.
Anything else?
So move it to action.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
For your hard work.
Appreciate it.
I know you're putting in the hours.
Oh,
We
yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I'd like not to have to go reduce things, but it's part of the process to get kind of where we need to be, or closer to where we need to be.
We appreciate it.
We'll see what we come up with, and we'll come back to report that. Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Next up is Fire Commission post-budget request. Stephen, come on up.
Good evening. During our budget process, the Northeast Stokes Fire and Rescue requested to purchase a new fire engine. However, just due to timelines and timetables with paperwork that they needed to receive versus when budgets were required to be submitted, we could not get that into the budget packet. I will say that this has nothing to do with the current budget that we're operating on, so all figures and money that we're talking about will fall within the FY 25-26 budget. But the Fire Commission has approved and is recommended to the county commissioners to award the Northeast Stokes a new fire engine at the cost of $700,000. The rate would be 5.3% fixed for 15 years. It would be financed through United Financial, stipulating first payment no earlier than September of 2025. And our goal would be to obviously pay this off sooner than the 15-year. And the current loan documents that expire on 7/22/2024, so I don't know where that fits in with your meeting schedule, as whether it needs to be handled tonight or it can be moved to the next meeting. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I mean, so y'all are covering the cost of the fire engine. The debt on it is coming from the fire service tax.
Correct. Yeah, it's coming from the fire service.
Like where you're asking us to contribute.
Yeah, there's no county general fund money. This will be paid for out of the fire service tax district that the citizens pay for. It's just part of due to the fact that it would be debt, and in the current language of the fire service document, it requires county commissioner approval for any new debt.
Now, I think if I remember right, I know Ryan Clark, that's the engine that he feels is necessary for the Carroll Farms.
I don't know specifically about that. It's replacing a 1984 fire engine. We have two departments that have fire engines in similar age, and they're requesting that, and we have directed the other fire department to begin speccing out a new fire engine to replace that, and for us to have it ready in the budget process for next year.
I think he was talking about a ladder truck.
Yeah, he has talked about a ladder truck. I don't know the specifics about that, but this is a fire engine only, not a ladder truck.
The Fire Commission's voted and approved this already, right?
Yes, they provided 3 different bank vendors, and this is the United Financial is the one we selected.
40-year-old truck, I guess. Is that how long they usually last? 40 years?
Well, I mean, they can. It just depends on how busy the department is, the maintenance of the truck. I mean, obviously, we have not a huge disparity in call response and call volume in the departments, but I don't know. We're keeping a close eye on some OSHA mandates that come through, and I don't know if we'll have a fire service as those OSHA mandates come through.
Yeah, it's concerning.
Yes, very, very.
Well, whenever you can come up with something precise, because I went through that 99-page document and I was just as confused after, I finished it that when I started. But I think as soon as somebody gets clarification for us how it's going to impact our fire service, I think we need to come back in front of the board and we need to talk.
The North Carolina State Firefighters Association and several other associations, including the Chiefs Association, State Fire Marshal's Office, they've had a little task force together, and they provided information to all fire departments that they could plug numbers in, and it would provide the financial impact if these OSHA changes were implemented, for them to comment during the open comment period, which I think closes now. Don't quote me. Maybe toward the end of July. They've extended it twice now, which is typically unusual for comment periods to be extended. So we're trying to provide them OSHA as much data as possible.
Hopefully there's nationwide pushback,
Yeah.
not just.
We do know New York has been a big advocate on concerns about this as well. And just to kind of enlighten the rest of you, it would be an OSHA regulation that a fire truck get changed out in 15 years. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the cost of these trucks, are climbing with not really any sight of it going in the reverse mode, no matter what happens in November or what happens anytime. They just, it's a specialty piece of equipment that,
Well, they do the old fire truck when they get the new one.
I don't know for sure. The board, their board of directors, I would assume maybe it will be sold. As far as for the fire commission standpoint, whether they decide to keep it or sell it, we are building an apparatus replacements plan and schedule. We've had our first meeting about that. We've tasked the fire chiefs to kind of give some feedback on identifying trucks and as far as that goes. But with that schedule, we can track easier now when a truck is replaced and what does happen to it. Does it go to a reserve status? Does it or is it just gone, or is the department going to keep it but realize when its end of life is truly gone that it will not be replaced?
So do y'all need to have a policy on that at some point?
I guess that's what we're working on with that. We're working, like I said, working with the fire chiefs now on a few things that they're going to give us some information back. And primarily right now we're looking at an age thing. I know at some point in time maintenance is going to come up to play. Something may be 30 years old and very little maintenance, and something's 15 years old and it's nickel and diming, every penny you've got.
Don't make them like they used to.
No, in the government emissions that they make us follow, at least through the warranty process, we're having a lot of motor problems, just like EMS is as well.
Can you move this to action tonight?
Just the
fire.
Just the apparatus piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, the loan agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to talk about the other part separately.
No, we were going to wait on that. Yeah.
Wait, okay.
Yeah, because we don't have that quite ready.
Okay.
So I know it was in the letter to you. We'll come back to you probably this fall with that. Yep.
Move it to action tonight.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Appreciate
Thanks, Stephen.
Appreciate it. And then next up is the Volunteer Agricultural District Board appointments, and our manager will present.
So, Janice Pack, Soil and Water Director, contacted me about Bob Cook, Meredith Tucker, and David Jones submitting their appointment applications for the Voluntary Agriculture District Advisory Board. And the VAD Board, the current one, already approved these appointment recommendations at their meeting on June 20th. So these applicants would just be filling the expiring terms of Sharon Hartman, Nancy Ridge, and David McKinney, and the terms are each for 3 years.
So do we, does anyone we have to make a motion to close the nominations, or?
If you could just nominate all of them.
Like a poll?
I'll make a motion we nominate Cook, Tedder, and Jones.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Then we can poll next time. I'll just move it to action for the next
gotcha.
meeting is fine. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll go to the action agenda. First up is the resolution authorizing execution of Kroger opioid settlement and approved supplemental agreement for additional funds. And I believe our beloved Assistant County Attorney is going to help us out here.
I've been reviewing this, and I've talked to Mr. Browder about it as well. What we're needing, there are additional funds that we're looking at with regards to Kroger specifically. So we just need a resolution adopted to be able to authorize the county manager or one of us to execute any documents necessary for the opioid settlement agreements with regards to Kroger.
You know, approximately an amount that counties are, I know there wasn't a total amount in this, but.
I don't. I think that in the resolution itself, the CDC's estimated the total economic burden of the prescription opioid misuse is like $78.5 billion. But as far as what additional funding we would be actually realizing from this, I'm not sure. But it'd be nice to get it if it's out there. So
Sure. Yep. I'll make a motion we approve the resolution. The Kroger opioid settlement funds.
Second. All right. Any additional discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the employment agreement for Stokes County Manager. Recent hiring process we went through. The board decided on our recommended hire. Can I get a motion to approve the employment agreement?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just a couple of comments. I guess folks that, I've been around here a while and I've made a lot of noise about hiring qualified people to work in the county jobs. From my initial exposure to this process and to Jeff, who we were hiring, Jeff Sanborn, I think he'll probably be the most qualified county manager that's ever worked here. I also think he'll, based on limited contact with him, I think he and Amber will really make a good team for us as well, working together. So I'm really looking forward to him getting here in September.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And Amber, you'll get that press release out tomorrow morning. And then, do we have a preset list of media that we normally send to?
Normally we just do the local, the Fox 8, WXI, and then Stokes News.
Okay.
Probably the Journal.
Yeah, the Weststone Journal. We normally don't do them, but we can certainly add them since it's an important press release. But we'll take care of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And there's 2 more items on action.
Pardon me?
There's 2 more items on action that we
Yep,
added.
yep.
The courthouse addition and renovation, the bids for that.
All right, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the courthouse bids and renovation.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And the fire commission requests for the apparatus.
Get a motion to approve the,
So moved.
all right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, will our manager read the rationale for closed session?
To consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3, to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations according to General Statute 143-318.11A4.
All right, at this time, we'll be in closed session.
Motion to go into close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Now we're in closed session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.